Tell me, Lord, what did I ever do that was worth loving you for the kindness you showed? Lord, help me, Jesus, I've wasted it, so help me, Jesus, I know what I am. Now that I know that I needed you, so help me, Jesus, my soul's in your hand. Tell me, Lord, if you think there's a way I could try to repay all I've taken from you. Maybe, Lord, I could show someone else what I've been through myself on my way back to you. Lord, help me, Jesus, I've wasted it, so help me, Jesus, I know what I am. Now that I know that I needed you, so help me, Jesus, my soul's in your hand. Lord, help me, Jesus, I've wasted it, so help me, Jesus, I know what I am. Now that I know that I needed you, so help me, Jesus, my soul's in your hand. Jesus, my soul's in your hand. probably never heard "Hello, Darling" before. But we're a unique family, as all of you know. And if you want to hear Mom's Conway confession, you'll have to ask my sister Angie about that. Back in 2017, I wrote a blog as Mother's Day was approaching, and it was just a tribute to moms in general, but obviously a lot of it was specifically about our mom as well, and I would like to open up with that. It says, with Mother's Day just a few days away, I got to thinking about the contribution of moms make around the world. I am under no illusion I can adequately explain the immeasurable influence of mothers on our world in just a short blog. However, I would like to honor the mothers out there and thank you for what you have done for the world, and specifically what my mom has done for me. Throughout history, moms have played a significant role in the course of events. Abraham Lincoln once said, "God bless my mother. All that I am or ever hope to be, I owe to her." A Spanish proverb puts it this way: an ounce of mother is worth a pound of clergy. Even the name of the first mother in this world, Eve, means life-giving. One of the ladies on the TV show The Golden Girls said, "It's not easy being a mother. If it were, fathers would do it." There's a whole lot of truth to that statement. I have also heard it said that if being a mother were easy, it would not start out with something called labor. Moms have a tough job, but for one, I am very thankful for the contributions of moms. My mom has always been an encourager. When I was 18 and considering leaving home, I was still in high school at the time, it was the encouragement of my mom that kept me home until I finished high school. I am probably not fully aware of the amount of relationship damage that would have created between my dad and me, and it was avoided because of my mom. When I was asked to leave college because of my poor grades, it was the encouragement of my mom that convinced me to not give up. I went to the college and asked to be allowed back in under the condition I would improve my grades. They let me back in. I improved my grades and eventually graduated. I later went on to get my master's in life coaching, graduating with a 4.0. None of that would have been possible without the encouragement from my mom. So thank you, Mom. Thank you to all the moms of the world. Thank you for being the ones who encourage us and inspire us to be more than we thought we could be. Thank you for being our positive voice in a negative world. Thank you for being Mom. You know, over the past few days, I've thought about what I'm going to say here. One of the things that just popped out to me, especially as I've talked to others, those at Heritage, and even some from Laurel Village, where she was before, and then people last night, as lines of people came in to see her. And I just noticed some words and phrases that jump out to describe Dallas Lanham. And probably one of the words that I heard the most was the word beautiful. And some of you may be familiar with this story, and I don't know who said it, but I know at one of the Lilly High School reunions that somebody got up to speak, and they were talking about my dad. And they said, when Elmer Lanham came to Lilly High School, he came riding the ugliest bike you've ever seen in your life. And when he left with the best looking car you've ever seen. So you got it eventually, didn't you? That was my mom. That was our mom. Who was voted, by the way, in her senior class as best looking. She was a beautiful woman. And as beautiful as she was on the outside, she way surpassed that by her beauty on the inside. She was just a beautiful woman all the way around. She always loved to get her hair done. I don't know what it was, but Friday was like, other than Sunday being church, Friday was probably her second favorite day of the week, because that's the day she always went and got her hair done. And of course, we wanted to make sure that it looked great for today as well, because she would have wanted it that way. She was a beautiful woman, inside and out. Another phrase I think describes her as quiet strength. Quiet strength. She was not a yeller, although you may have heard her a time or two, but that was not a frequent thing for our mom. But she had a strength beyond that. She didn't try to out-argue people. She didn't try to, to muscle somebody down, but she stood firm. She stood firm, and she had a sense of calmness about her in the midst of some of the biggest chaos. Those of you in the church, you know my dad is someone that was living for the Lord and was always growing in that and becoming a better person. But some of you knew my dad before he took that step, and he was not the easiest guy to live with at times, as a child or as a spouse. He loved us. He loved all of us. But he could be overly firm at times. But I tell you what, my mom didn't back down. She didn't back down. She had this quiet strength about her that is stronger than any muscle or any yelling you could ever experience. She had quiet strength. The thing that Rob talked about, she was a mentor. And I heard Rob and Carolyn both mention that. I heard several others mention that. She was a mentor to me. That she was somebody that loved to pour herself into other people and to lift them up and to help them along the way. She was just that type of lady. Another word is an encourager. She was such an encourager. I read to you in the tribute when two different occasions I was about to make some bad decisions. And it was her encouragement that led me to make a different decision. And I believe my life is different because of it. To this day, and always will be. Because of her encouragement. I shared with you the workers at Heritage. Man, they loved her. They loved her. In those last few days, they came in on their off days to see her, to hug her, to lay down in the bed with her. They loved her, and many of them said that she was a mentor to them. They said she never complained. She loved them. Whenever she talked to us about them, it was always positive things. And she was just such a huge encourager. And I would like to give another shout out to Heritage for being so good to her during that time. And not only Heritage, but Laurel Village, where she was before with assisted living. They were very good to her, and she had nothing but positive things to say about them as well. She was a giver. Man, was she a giver. That was her love language, was to give. As a matter of fact, at Christmas time, I don't know how many presents she had stacked up in her closet, but I know if anybody showed up at Christmas that she was not expecting, she disappeared for about 5 minutes, and she went back to that closet, and she pulled something out, and she wrapped it up, and she put a tag on it, and wrote their name on it, and she went and put it under the tree, because she could not stand the fact that somebody was there at Christmas and did not get a gift. She was a giver. Many times giving sacrificially. for her family, for her church, for her friends. Which leads me to another word that I think describes our mom, and that's family. She loved family. She loved us. Debbie, Sandy, Kim, Angie, me, all of our kids. She loved family. She loved family reunions. She always looked forward, and when she was physically able, she would work her fingers to the bone to get things ready for the family reunions, because she just loved family getting together. Another word that describes her, and Rob mentioned this as well, is laughter. She loved to laugh. She was not a big joke teller. Although I don't know if you ever heard her tell the joke about the wide-mouthed frog. If you didn't, you missed out. Because she was like, I'm a wide. Just imagine our mother doing that. It was hilarious. Watching her tell the joke was so much funnier than the punchline. But she loved to laugh. And she gave that to us. We all love to laugh. Sometimes even in inappropriate times, we laugh. Tell you another word that described our mom is Christian. She was a follower of Jesus. Her and my dad both made a decision to follow Jesus when they were young. And like what happens oftentimes as they became adults, they kind of drifted away from that, especially when they lived up in northern Kentucky. I think they became what we sometimes refer to as creasters. Creasters are people who go to church on Christmas and Easter. But some kind of tragic event happened. I'm not sure what it was that led them to move back down here to London, Corbin area, here in Keavy.
Oh, you know.
Yeah, I set our house on fire. And I think they were talking about moving back down here anyway, and they just said, now's a good time. I just helped them make that decision. But when we moved back down here, my mom took my sister Angie and I to church with her where she grew up, which is this church. And so we grew up in this church because of her. And I think later on she made a recommitment to Christ. And my dad didn't go at that point, but in the 80s, this church went through a tough time. And during that time, my dad came to church with our mom just out of support for her. And he never stopped. And eventually he rededicated his life to Christ as well and became a deacon in this church and eventually an elder in this church. And as Rob's already told you, they were both very, very active. They loved Locust Grove Christian Church. They loved all of you guys. She understood what it meant to follow Jesus. There's a passage of scripture that we oftentimes read at funerals, and appropriately so. I think it's very comforting. Jesus is talking, and he says, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God, trust also in me. In my Father's house are many rooms. If it were not so, I would have told you. I'm going there to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that you also may be where I am. You know the way to the place where I am going." Thomas, one of the apostles, said to him, "Lord, we don't know where you are going. So how can we know the way?" And Jesus answered, "I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." That passage is read a lot at funerals. But it's just as appropriate, maybe even more appropriate, to read at weddings. Because this is actually a Hebrew, a Jewish proposal is what Jesus is doing here. A common practice during this time among the Jewish people is when they found a bride, somebody they wanted to spend the rest of their life with, they would go to their father's house and they would build a room onto that house for the specific purpose of moving in there with their bride. And he would tell her, I'm going to prepare a place for you in my father's house. And I will come to take you with me to be where I am. And if she said yes, then eventually they would get married and she would come and live with him in this room. What Jesus is doing in this passage is he's proposing. He is making a marriage proposal to us. He's saying, in my Father's house, there are many rooms. I know the King James translates that mansions, but it's really one mansion, and we're a room, a part of the Father's mansion in that. And he's saying, I am going to prepare a place for you. Will you come and be my bride? Will you marry me? And I think Mom understood that. I think Dad understood that. And that's the reason that they not only made a decision when they were younger, but that they later recommitted to Christ. Because they said, yes, we will marry you. We will devote our lives to you. And we will come to live with you in that room prepared for us. Christian is a great word to describe our mom. But I think there's even a better word. And that word is simply Mom. Simply Mom. She was a great example of what it means to be a mom, what it means to be a parent in general. Like Rob said, she wasn't perfect. She made mistakes. We all do dumb stuff, don't we? But she is somebody who grew, who tried, who became better and better as she got older and matured, and was a great example for the rest of us to look at and say, this is the way we need to love our kids. So, Mom, we are here celebrating you. We've got tears. It's tough to let you go. But at the same time, we're celebrating. We know that you're happier today than you were a week ago. And you're running even better than you did when you saw Conway. And we can't wait to get up there and see you. But until that day, we don't want to say goodbye because it's not goodbye. We just want to simply say good night. And we'll see you in the morning.